Hello. It is late. Very late compared to what I normally do for streams. But how is everyone doing? It has been a bit. It's been a bit since I last streamed. And not due to what you would expect. I'm not going to leave people in the dark about this. I want to make sure people know what's going on. But before we get too deep into what I'm wanting to talk about today, I am going to just give it a little bit of time for those who are interested in the stream to pop in. So we'll give it a little bit of time before we get into any big discussions today. But thanks, Uranium. By the way, were you someone I knew before that changed their name? Because it doesn't show you as a new chatter. So you must have been here sometime before. Either you changed your name or you've been here once before and I don't remember. Not very good for that. I'm bad for remembering people. But yeah, I'm just curious. Just curious to see if you been around here specifically. Nah, I've been here. Same name, just not that often. I see. I must have forgotten then. I apologize for forgetting. Welcome in. You've popped in. You've popped back in at a interesting time. I have 204 hours on Power World, and I've been playing less than 2 weeks, I believe. Hey, at least it's a game that's got your attention. I've been playing a bit of it myself, actually. I get the feeling, though, today people aren't gonna be the most pleased with some of the things I'll be talking about today. Because it's life is strange. And sometimes you gotta recognize what you can do and what you can't do. I just caught a jet gun right before you started. Isn't it? I know which one that is, actually. That's one. I think that's like the main like travel PAL. I think that's like the PAL everyone gets to be like, hey, this one. That's the one you use to travel everywhere. You get infinite stamina plus runner or flyer on that thing. You're going everywhere in a matter of seconds. It's arguably the fastest. It again, if you get like runner or flyer, I forget whichever it is. If you get the thing that boosts its like fly speed and then get it the infinite stamina trait, like get those two traits, yeah, that thing's the best flyer in the game. But anyway, I'm only level 63, higher level than I am. Want a gram of uranium? No thanks. I had some chicken before starting stream, so I'm good on food right now. Thank you for the offer, though. I have to wait until 79 to get the mount. I see. Let's see, we're about 10 minutes in. Not a lot of activity so far. I don't want to go right ahead into the announcement just yet. I want people to show But it's 2 million calories. Think of the bulk potential. I don't need that much. I'm good. He obliterated my PAL team and they're all insanely powerful. That checks out. Let me see. Probably no one available right now. I am streaming rather late. I will do one thing though, just for funsies. I'm poking a bear. Just give me one moment. Here we go. Okay. Let's see what that causes. Okay, but you have to wait. I deliver with pigeon only. That is one crazy pigeon. Might get some baked beans. But yeah, I do have a couple things to mention. I guess I can go ahead and get started. This is going to be a short stream. I don't even know if it'll be an hour long. It's going to be that short of a stream. But we'll see. First things first. I suppose I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way for people that will make well, actually I'll start with the light stuff first because it'll give more people more time to pop into the streams. So first thing, sorry, hiccups. So first thing I'll mention is life has been quite busy for me. Everyone who has been in the Discord, who's been on Twitter with following me on Twitter, all that stuff, you'll have noticed that my streaming amount has reduced significantly. It's actually been a week or two. It's been like 2 weeks, give or take, 2.5 weeks since I last actually like streamed. There's a reason for that. I have been having some general IRL struggles. Not with like what you would typically expect. For me, it's been I'm trying to adjust to something that I'm not used to. So I've been working at this retail place for a while, and I'd never worked retail before. And the way it's scheduled out, the way it's handled is very bizarre because I'm just part-time. I'm working part-time at a retail, and it's strange. It's very strange. I don't have like a set schedule that's like okay, you're gonna work. It's not like, okay, you're gonna work on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from this time to this time. That's not how it gets handled at all. It's like, all right, you've got like, you're gonna be worked under like 40 hours every week. It's like you're gonna be worked under like that amount of time every week or something like that. I don't remember what exactly like the time length was. It was like not even that. I think it's like you're gonna be worked under like 30 hours every week, and it's gonna be erratic. So some days I'll be like, okay, you're gonna work from 9 in the morning to 1 in the evening, and it's like, okay. But then another day I'll be working from like 3 in the evening to 10 in the evening, and I'm like, that's a different schedule. But then some weeks it'll be both, where it's like, okay, Monday you're going to be working from 9 to 2. You're going to be working from 9 to 3. Not 9 to 3. You're going to be working from like 11 to 3. And then Wednesday, you'll be working from 3 to 10. And it's super erratic. There's not like a set thing. Some weeks it'll be like Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then other weeks, and then the next week it could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's and all different times. Like they can all be different times. It's very bizarre. And because of that weird, erratic schedule, I'm having a hard time trying to stream because I guess one could say I am a creature of consistency. Or how do I describe it? I like it when things are on a set thing with expectancy. Mostly that comes from being just in the education system the way I have been. Like all through like most of my life, where it's like throughout elementary, middle school, high school, and college, because I did basically everything back to back with like a year in between where it wasn't any of that between like high school and college. I'm so used to being like,
did somebody say boom?
unnecessary. But yeah, I see the uranium has gotten to my location. Same day shipping is crazy. This is what happens when you order uranium with same day shipping. Anyway, back on topic. I'm used to like proper schedules where it's like, all right, you're gonna work on these days at these times. That's what I prefer. That's what I'm used to, because I can plan and schedule around what I have formed with habit. Sorry, my pigeon crashed. You're not getting the refund. But yeah, I like to build up habits with my routines. And part of that is I like a schedule that fits that criteria. Something that's like, okay, you're here on this day from these hours. And then that's it. I like that. But the job I currently have does not operate like that at all. And it has effectively thrown me totally off of my rhythm when it comes to streaming. It takes effectively all of my focus just to try and do this job to make sure I'm getting everything right, because I get so exhausted so easily from the erraticness of this. Maybe that comes from being ADHD, maybe that comes from the autism, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not going to try and blame it on anything. I'm just going to be like, hey, that's where it's at. It is what it is. I'm not going to blame it on anything. These could be like part of that. They're probably aspect. 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. I am back. My dog's getting a little rowdy after taking a nap. She was napping earlier and now she's rowdy. But anyway, but if it was just that, I could probably work around something. But the problem is, that's not just it. I've also been having to try and deal with just scheduling in general. With my new job, part of the issue with it is, I've mentioned to them before where it's like, I would prefer morning times getting up in the morning and working until like whenever that needs to be, because I like my evenings to be free. That has apparently been completely ignored because I have been set to more evening schedules than I have morning schedules, despite having, specified that I prefer morning schedules. So that's one thing. And the problem is the evening schedules for this workplace go to 10 in the evening. And usually I have to work over 10 because retail. So usually what happens is store closes at 10 and then we got to do cleanup. So we got to mop the floors, we got to wipe off the counters, we got to clean up. And that takes a bit of time. And then we also have to do our count out at the day because I also man the register. So I'm also doing count out during that time as well. So by the time I leave, it's about 10:30 or 10:40. So I'm having to deal with that. And it takes me about, give or take, 7 minutes to get home. I can't really just start streaming right after that because one, I'm exhausted from being at the workplace that I'm in and just constantly being stressed from that because the way they manage the work environment is atrocious. But on top of that, it's more just the erraticness of it. It being such an erratic schedule, the workplace itself also being highly erratic. There's no real consistency in a general sense, and that I think is what takes most of the energy out of me. So it doesn't leave me with enough energy to really go and do streaming. This has been one of the days where it's been an exception because I didn't work today. You got to think, it's just crazy. But that aside, I've also been trying to schedule another thing. I've been trying to do some scheduling for stuff at a DMV. And if you know anything about scheduling stuff for DMVs, it's not fun, man. Anything concerning a DMV is never fun. And I've been having to deal with that for about a month and a half. It's been very annoying. Because for me to do this thing with the DMV, I've had to contact multiple people. So to give a description of what I've been doing and why streams have been getting cut so much, I'm going to just paint the picture as clearly as I can. My workplace has an erratic schedule that is very challenging to plan around. On top of that, I'm also trying to schedule something out with a DMV to go there and get a test on there. Get that done. Then
X00R_404X cheered. X15. DMV is like actually a pain in the side.
Correct. So, yeah, I'm scheduling this thing after the DMV, but for me to do that, I have to contact somebody else because here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my driver's license, proper driver's license, and get that set out. But to do that, I need to contact somebody else so that I can borrow their car to take the test. Because their car is comfortable enough for me to actually drive in. It's certified. It's got everything. I have to contact them so that I can use their car to take the test. But the problem is, it means I have to contact them, tell them, hey, I've scheduled it for this time. I'll need to meet you about an hour or so early because it's an hour-long commute from where I live to my local DMV. I say local, but it takes an hour for me to get from where I'm at to the DMV that I'm going to. So for me to do that, I have to call the DMV, schedule an appointment, then I have to contact the the person whose car I'm borrowing to then say, okay, it's at this time. I'll need to meet you an hour earlier to then go to your place. We'll take your car to the DMV. We'll get into the DMV line and go and... One second. So, and then it's just, once we get there, I then have to take the test and then get all of that done. Because there's paperwork, there's everything else to get done, all that stuff. For the past 2 months, here's basically what has been happening. I renewed my permit, so that's one thing. That took a while. When I went to go and take my test the first time, so we had this whole thing scheduled out. We scheduled it out. It was like, all right, first week, I got my permit, did that, got it done, went, go. Good. Second week, we go down there, get ready to take the test, but when we get there, they tell me, hey, you can't take this test until you've had this permit for 30 days. And I'm standing there like, but I've had a permit before. I've had a permit for several like months. Like, what's going on here? I've had a permit before. And then they go, no. You need to have had this permit for 30 days at minimum. And I go, wait. So you all know, because you have it in your system, that I've had a permit multiple times for multiple months. And because I did not renew the previous permit because I was late by a week, this has to count as a different permit altogether. And they basically just said, yep. So I'm looking, and I'm just like, so even though you know I've had a permit before for more than 30 days, because I didn't have this permit for 30 days, I cannot take the driver's test. They go, correct. So then I have to just wait 30 days to get that done. That was during the streamathon. I want to preface that was during when the streamathon was going on, to put that into perspective. So that's why the streamathon wasn't nearly as chaotic. But then 30 days passed, and I go to take the test. And I can't remember exactly what happened. There was something that happened. I think it was just, I took the test and I didn't pass. I missed a little detail when I was doing my driving. So I thought, all right, I'll take this time to get a little more practice in. So on top of getting more practice in my driving, I'm now dealing, on top of, the erratic schedule for my new workplace, getting driving practice in, and then also trying to deal with DMV scheduling. I've gone and taken the test a couple of times, and I've got a plan to take it again. So there's a plan already in motion for me to try and take it again. Going to do that, but then is a matter of actually getting that done. So there's that, but then there's one more thing. I am also working with a third party that I am trying to schedule a meeting with. That meeting was supposed to happen today at like 10. But because, well, no, it was yesterday. It was supposed to happen yesterday at 10 or something of that sort. I can't remember the details of it. Point is, it was supposed to happen like either yesterday or the day today or yesterday. But I called in earlier and said, no, we're going to have to reschedule because there's some stuff going on. Work schedule is getting weird because my work schedule has changed multiple times, and it's just very annoying because it'll be like, it'll say, hey, you're working these days next week, but then next week rolls around and it's like, oh, never mind, you're working these days instead. It's like, how am I supposed to plan for anything if the thing you give me, the scheduler thing, says one thing, and then that week shows up, and then it changes. How am I supposed to plan for any of that? What's the point of a scheduler that tells you what next week is going to be if when next week arrives, it just changes to something else? That's something I've been having to deal with as well. So getting used to that. So those are the three big things I've been dealing with and why streams haven't been happening as much. An erratic work schedule from my workplace, trying to schedule a driving test thing for the DMV, which is already a headache, and then also trying to schedule a meeting with a third party in another group that I will not mention. Trying to juggle that with streaming has been very hectic. And I also just recently finished one of the commission orders that I've been meaning to work, that I was working on, and I want to add a little something onto it afterward. That commission order is finished, but I'm going to add a little thing afterward because Blossom asked for it. Yes, it is a Blossom commission. I will be working on another commission pretty soon. I just want to get some framework for it before I actually start streaming it. So that's the main explanation of what's been going on, why streams have been cut back so much, and why things have been quiet from me on streaming. It's because things have been very busy for me, and it has been very exhausting. And I feel bad about that. I'm going to be perfectly clear about that. I feel bad that I haven't been streaming as much because it's not a lack of want. I am so like tired from the erraticness. Like, if it's so strange, if it was a job where it was like, hey, you're going to work 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday every week, I could handle that. Like, it wouldn't matter what the work was. If it was, hey, it's 9 to 5 every week, and that doesn't change. Like, it goes, hey, Monday, 9 to 5, Tuesday, 9 to 5, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 5. If that was it, if that was my work schedule, I would not have any issue. I could stream comfortably in that. I could make plans comfortably around that. But that isn't what I have. I just am not used to working in an erratic work schedule that is very uncompromising, on top of it being a job place that is also erratic, because I forget the term. I'm under a specific work position that has me take up multiple roles in the store. So I'm not just doing one thing. So in the store, I don't hold, like, say, the cashier role or register, whichever the term is. I'm not just at the register and manning the register and that's it. That's not what I'm doing. No, what I am doing is I'm in a role where it's like, hey, if you're at the register, you're only at the register where it's like, at my job place, it's like, here's what my daily, like, anytime I get to my work, this is what it's like. All right, we're gonna get your drawer out, count you out, and get you on the register. Oops, bumped my microphone. And get you on the register. If there is nobody at the register, you leave the register and go do something else. So either I am doing what's called pulling forward, which is going to different products on the shelf and bringing them forward so that they're on display properly, or I'm on stock, where I'm going through these different boxes to put things on the shelf, or I'm on produce, where it's, hey, you got to get to the produce in the back and put that in the freezers, or I'm doing put back, which is people who have brought stuff up the front, brought up stuff up to the front, and then I have to go around the store and figure out where they're supposed to be and put them back on the shelves. you're not just doing one thing. And I've had to do situations where I'm doing the freezers, which are in the back of the store. So if I'm on freezers, I have to go from the back of the store between every box that I open up and put in the freezer, and then hike back to the front of the store to check the register. And if someone is there, I go and man the register and get them going. And if there's no one there, I walk back. And if I go up and check the register and nobody's there, I have to walk back and try and get another box into the freezer. It is a lot of walking. And I know that doesn't sound like, oh, it's just walking around. It's constantly monitoring things. I am constantly having to go, okay, I need to stop my current thing I'm doing to then go and check on and see if I have to do this other thing. And if that other thing needs someone there, I got to go and then do that. But when that thing gets done, I then have to go back to the thing I was doing and try and remember where I last left off where I was before. And it is highly erratic. It is an incredibly erratic job. And it's something I'm very much not used to after having been in a systematically like scheduled system. I am used to things being like on a schedule. It goes at this point in time, from here to here, you are doing this thing and not anything else. That's what I'm used to. This job does not do that at all. From the way it is scheduled to the way the job is scheduled, from like the days it gets worked, like I could be working Monday starting at 9 in the morning to 1 in the evening, or I could be working, or I could be in the very next day I could be working 3 to 10. Or I can get, because I'm part-time, I can also get called in, meaning there could be a day where it's like, hey, nothing was scheduled today, there's nothing going on. They can call me on the phone at 6 in the evening and say, hey, we're short-staffed. We're short-staffed on something. We need you to come in. Now, I can decline that, but any person who works knows that you don't decline an offer to get work because you get paid for it. So I can just get called at 6 in the evening and them say, hey, we need you here. And then I have to go there so I can get paid. That's terrible planning on your management part. Oh, believe me, I'm very aware of it. My father and I talk about it all the time, about how the management of my store is terrible. It is terrible store management, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Just not good store management. But that aside, I'm dealing with a job that's highly erratic, both in the way it is time managed and my role constantly having me juggle back and forth between going to the register and then doing whatever else they're wanting me to do that day. And it can change midway through the day. I have had a day where I've gone in where it's like, all right, I'm at the register. I've worked the register for 20 minutes because that's how long it took to get through all of the customers, because by the time one person leaves, another person's gotten in. When that got cleared, I go on and I'm going on stock and I'm putting things up. And I'll be on stock for like 5 minutes before I have to go right back to the register. I'm doing the other job for like 5 minutes at a general length. Sometimes I get to work at it for 10, but very rarely. And then after juggling back and forth between those two things, I can just get randomly called and goes, hey, can you stop doing that thing that you've been doing? Even though I was just getting into a flow between those two things, can you stop doing that thing that you're doing and instead go and do this other thing, which is usually put back. That's usually what I tend to get put on, where it's like, and can you just go ahead and go do put back? Because we have a cart full of things that people have brought up and didn't buy. So now they've taken me off of what I was doing to go then do another thing. But then they also say, once you're finished with put back, go ahead and go back to that thing that you were doing. And then my thought process is like, so you've assigned me 3 different things then. So now it's do the register, do putback. When I finish with putback, then go back to stock, to shelf stocking, to stocking the shelves. And I have to juggle all of that while constantly dealing with different customers all the time. The register by itself is already a very demanding job by the sheer fact that you're not just dealing with people buying things. Some people come in to, like, say, load up a card for different things. Some people want to do returns. Some people want to do, want to know, it's like, hey, can I buy this thing with this thing? What deals are this? Sometimes a person will buy something and then they'll go, hey, that's not what I thought it was. I want to change that. So I have to constantly adjust to the different customers that come in with different problems. That's the case at my job too. Constantly shuffling around to do random things because they don't want to hire enough people to run the store properly. Well, here's the thing about it is it's like there's enough. I know there's enough people to run the store properly. The problem is I know the management does not want to hire enough people full time to run the store properly. They want to run people part-time because then it's less of a major payout. Because here's why. If they run people full-time, it means that when they exceed the amount of work hours that's full-time, they have to start paying overtime. So they want people on part-time constantly. Because at my store, it's not a very big store, first of all, so they can kind of get away with this. But at my store, there's very rare, the commonality of the number of workers in the store at a given time is 2 people. I'm not joking when I say that. It's 2 people. It's me and that person's, like, I don't want to say manager because that's not what it is. I don't know what the role is, but it's the person that's sort of in charge of things at that given point in time, because there's actually a proper store manager that's dictating what's going on, and the person I'm with, I know, isn't that. They're more like a supervisor, I guess, is what you would describe it as. So that's sort of how it's managed. Winco? I don't know. But anyway, I don't actually know what Winco is. Is that a type of store? I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a hectic. It's very hectic. And that's the main reason why streaming has been so put back on the back. Company of the store that has the same issues you are explaining. I'm not going to say what store it is, but I can say that you can probably guess based on my reaction to what that is. If Winco is a store, then you can probably guess that it's not that, because I didn't know what that was. But I'm gonna try to say, don't. I'm not gonna try to, like, I'm not gonna say what store it is because I'm very particular about revealing any information that could give away my location. I'm assistant manager, and that actually makes me mad. Oof. I think that's actually what that is. The people I'm with is assistant manager. But anyway, those aside, yeah, I'm dealing with that. That job is very hectic. It's erratic, both while I'm in the job. You can see why I say the reason I haven't been streaming is because of, one, time management, because it's very erratic time management, but also it's from general exhaustion. Even on the days where it's like I'm not working, because I worked the day prior, I am genuinely so, like, exhausted that I just don't want to do anything. I just want to lay down and actually not be, like, dealing with, like, anything erratic, which is really upsetting to me because I want to stream, but I'm having a hard time getting the exhaustion out so that I can go and stream. So that's one thing. And I do apologize that this kind of turned into a little bit of a rant, but it is part of explaining what's been going on. So I wanted to make sure people knew what was going on. So there's that. And then you got to top that with like the whole DMV stuff that I mentioned earlier, with trying to get the driver's license stuff and everything, because it's not like, oh, I can go there and do that. No, I have to go to somebody else to borrow their car in order to take the test. So it's not, if it was just me and my pops, it wouldn't be an issue. The main reason why I don't take the test with like my pops's car is because his car is a truck. It's a big truck that's higher up, and he's mentioned to me before that it's a little it's tougher to get used to those kinds of vehicles when you're new. Big trucks are like not the easiest to get used to because they feel a lot bigger, even though they take up technically the same amount of space as any other car in the road. But that slightly higher elevation makes, and I can say this from like, because I've driven that truck just to get the experience, and being in a vehicle that's slightly higher up is so weirdly disorienting when you're used to a vehicle that's lower to the ground. And it's harder to take the test in that. And I can tell that that is the case because I do find it a little bit more challenging, more difficult to try and drive that truck rather than the car of the person who I'm going to borrow that car. So there's that. So yeah, on top of just that, I'm going to I'm scheduling it to that it's like, I've got to go to this person and say, hey, we're doing this schedule, does this work for you? They say yes, then it's like, all right, we'll go down there, take the test, and so forth. That's on top of also just dealing with taking the test itself, because I do have anxiety. I don't think that's very like hidden. Like, I don't hide that. I think most people know I have anxiety. I am diagnosed with anxiety. Taking a test, things that put pressure like that, I can get very jittery about that. Now, I'm not too nervous when I take my driver's test, but it does cause me to, like, make little mistakes. The last time I took the test, we were doing the parallel parking, and I failed the parallel parking because of the pullout. The actual parking part of the test, I did just fine. I actually did that perfectly fine. However, when it came time to pull out, because I was just that little bit too nervous, focusing on trying to not be nervous, I misjudged the distance from the front of my car by a distance of, I'm not even joking, 4 inches. Had I just backed my car up 4 more inches, I could have gotten out of the parallel parking spot and taken the test and passed it. But because of a little bit of nervousness and a misjudgment of 4 inches, I failed the test. Needless to say, it was very frustrating. Those are the things that do get me, though, is like the tight driving, where you're needing to work around tight spots. Parallel parking is obviously like something a lot of people have trouble with, parallel parking. And I am trying to get more practice in. I was a nervous wreck when learning how to drive manual. But yeah. So those are the main reasons why streams haven't been going on. It is because I've just been dealing with a lot of life stuff. Dealing with a new job. Well, let me reframe that. Dealing with a new crappy job. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. The job is very crappy, but it still is it's still a paycheck, so I'm not going to, be too upset with it, because that's just the deal with local jobs. Now, when I eventually get my license, I am going to try and apply for a different job, one that's got better, stable hours. That's the main thing I'm looking for, is stable hours over anything else. And then it'll be more regular. But the first step in, I think, getting things underway, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit sappy, I guess. So everybody get your pancakes out, because it's going to get a little sappy. I genuinely think that a lot of, even though it's been a little frustrating in places, even though it feels like I'm constantly getting delayed on so many different things, constantly getting pushback, I've never once looked at it and said, this feels like everything is against me. I've rather looked at it and just said, I don't know what, like, God has planned out for me, but I'm gonna trust that there's a reason for it. My stance on it is like this concept of, I don't know what or why things are playing out that the way they have been, but this year has been a sequence of that going on, where I don't know what's going on or what's happening. But if I have learned anything this year, it is, if I just trust that God's got it planned out and I just keep moving in that direction, then things will flow the way that is best for me, because that's how it's been going. So even though there's been interruptions, delays, constant annoyances, I'm still trudging through it, because here's a couple of things that I've taken away from it. One of the things that I think a lot of people are like, man, I'm sorry you've got to deal with like such a crappy job. But my thought process about it is, that depends on how you look at it, because I'm not looking to stay at this job. I'm looking to work here for however long I need to, so that I can get my license and then look for a better job. So I'm actually kind of glad that my first proper job is a really crappy job. And I know that's like a very like, well, why would you be glad about that? I go, because here's why. The experience of working at a job that's erratic, mismanaged, and not at all pleasant to be in means that if I am experiencing a really bad job, it means when I get to a good job, one that is scheduled right, managed well, and not a headache to deal with, it means that the appreciation for that job will be elevated, and I will value it a lot more. I'm of the opinion that your experience in something will ultimately allow you to have a good perspective on it when you have good and bad experiences. Once you've understood the crappy situation, you have a greater appreciation for the good stuff. So knowing a lot of the bad, experiencing bad stuff, gives you a appreciation for when the good stuff happens. There's this old saying, I can't remember how it goes exactly, but it's like the idea of like, you have to have rainy days to appreciate the sunny days. And the point of that is like, you've got to have the experience with bad stuff so that when good stuff happens, you're more appreciative of it and you value those more. So I'm looking at this experience as sort of a lesson, something to take away, and trusting that God's got it planned out. Having that faith is the main thing I'm going for in that. So I just have faith that even though things are kind of crappy right now, even though they're annoying and busy, I'm still just like, hey, I'm gonna just go through it and trust it works out. And if stuff gets tough, then that doesn't matter too much, because I can get through it, even if it's even if it's tough. Hi, hi, Baha. Welcome in. So, yeah, that pretty much covers most things. That's covering like streams, like the circumstances for that, why streaming hasn't been going as well as I wanted it to, my current life circumstances that isn't, you know, going into like full detail, but more just like circumstances at hand that has been preventing streaming, all of that stuff. Now here's the big announcement, and this is the one that I think will concern a few people. I am, with the current set of circumstances, really uncertain about how I can keep streaming the way I've been wanting to. And I brought this up like during the streamathon before, where it was like, hey, things are getting crazy and I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to manage it. That's gotten more intense as time has progressed. And it's getting to the point where I'm thinking, I don't think I can stream regularly anymore. And that makes me sad. It's, I guess, as strange as that sounds, it's like, it makes me sad because I love streaming. Even if it takes a lot of energy for me to do, I enjoy it that much. But I also have to kind of recognize that I can't really do what I'm doing right now and streaming to the intent that I want on my own. And I also can't afford to get the help I need for like managements and whatnot. So 1 second, I've got to go. I will be right. Oh, you all probably just heard that. I thought I muted myself. Hang on. Okay, so I don't know if y'all. Okay, good. Nobody heard anything. Good, good. Anyway, I'm gonna just quickly summarize this because I just got a call from my dad. I want to just say I'm gonna keep trying to stream, even if I can't stream as much as I want, because I like it. No, Dad's not mad. Dad is actually said, "Hey, there's gonna be a pizza." So I'm just like, "Oh, awesome!" So I'm gonna get pizza here in a little bit. So that's pretty cool. But I'm gonna wrap things up right here and just say, I'm glad to have my community. I'm glad to have everybody here that shows up, even if it's just a few people. I'm gonna keep streaming, even if I can't stream as much as I want, even if I can't improve on the streams as much as I would like. I like it enough that I'm gonna keep doing it. But it's gonna have to be kind of like this, where I can't schedule a time, can't like do it the way I want to. So streams are probably gonna just be these little random events that we do every now and again, which I know is not good for the algorithm. It's not good for analytics or anything like that. but it's the only option available to me right now. So if it's the only way I can keep streaming, then that's how I'm gonna do it. Sorry for anybody that likes the regular stuff. Wish I could do more regular stuff, but that's life. But hey, God willing, it'll get better. I'll catch you all in the next stream, whenever that may be. You'll have a good night, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.